Good afternoon and welcome to Q Questions, where each week we pull back the curtain on OnCue, one of the most powerful trial presentation platforms in the legal world. I'm Gene, your host, and joining me here every week is Robb, OnCue's Director of User Development, all around OnCue guru, if you will. For those of you watching on YouTube, welcome. For those of you who have clicked the link in the description and are joining us right here in the studio, that's even better. You can activate your camera and we will bring you on stage. You can ask your question directly to Robb. Otherwise, leave your questions in the comments, and I will be monitoring those comments, and Robb will be answering those questions as well. We do this every Wednesday at noon right here, so make sure you make this part of your weekly routine. Come by, hang out with us, and learn something new about OnCue, because there's always something new going on over here. Right now, I want to pitch it to Robb as we prepare for a special guest this week. Robb, how's it going?
Hey, man, how are you doing? I'm okay. I got something I want to talk about, though. I know we're going to talk about the Stream Deck in just a little bit. You've arranged somebody that reached out, and we're bringing them on the show, and that's going to be great. We're going to continue the Stream Deck discussion. Also, in the comments, can you go ahead and post, Gene, the link? I didn't see it in the description on YouTube. So that way, Gene's going to post in the comments a link to get into this. If you want to come into the studio today and talk about this, because this is a great topic, and I think people have several different opinions on it, and I think it'll do something good. Gene just posted that up right there. All you have to do is copy and paste that and or click it, and we'll bring you backstage, but we won't bring you on the stage without fair warning. So I have a monitor. I have a 49-inch LED, OLED monitor. I want to show it to you right here. Take a look. This thing's 49 inches. It splits into two monitors, gives me the ability to, now I got stuff back here and I got an iMac back there. I got all kinds of things going on. And I paid a lot of money for this monitor, right? And so, Gene, today I'm in the middle of a training, which this happened to me during the free training that we did for the quarterly last month. The monitor shut off again and went and did some update thing. And it just keeps doing this. I tried the fixes that everybody gave me, and those fixes didn't work. And I'm frustrated. And so I've just said, forget it. I'm going to get a Samsung Odyssey, and I'm going to be done with it because I'm tired of this OLED thing flipping out. So if anybody's looking for a monitor, do not buy the MSI 49-inch monitor. Don't buy it. Stay away from it, because if you're going to be relying on it for Zoom depositions or Zoom trials or hearings or anything like that, that thing can just go into a mode where it shuts down. Gene, you can attest to this. You've been there both times when this has happened to me.
Yes, biggest live training we had ever done as far as largest audience.
How many people did we have there? How many was it?
Almost 250 people in one training. It was huge. We had all this backup, people there helping out, answering questions in the chat. This thing shuts down on you. But I want to say this, because that time, and again this morning in the big training that we had going on, hey, your monitor froze up on you, did this deal where it shut down. And who came to save the day out of the phone booth like Superman? Max was right there. Johnny on the spot, dude, stepped in and didn't miss a beat. So thank you, Max, for always being there.
Max is a great trainer, man. Max Bow, he's been with me for a long time as my head trainer, man. He does all the fundamental training, and he does a great job with it. Now, that's all I got. And I want to thank everybody that's joined the community for OnCue. We're starting to get a lot of people in there. I'm going to have Gene post a link to that in the comments here in just a little bit. He'll stick it up there, how you can get to the community. And that community allows you to go in and have these conversations back and forth about things. But today, we're going to talk more about the Stream Deck that we talked about last week. And I've got to tell you, I had lunch today, this week, Monday, 2 days ago. I had lunch with about three other techs, real good techs in the industry, based here in Dallas, one of them based in Tyler. And we got to talking about this, and they brought up some things to me that I was like, well, you know, that might work. That's pretty cool. Kevin Dorita had some things that were really good that he was doing that I didn't think of. So I'm still on the fence whether or not, and here's what I'm trying to figure out, Gene. Here's what we're trying to flesh out on Q Questions. This doesn't really have anything to do with the software per se, but it does, because that's what you're programming the Stream Deck to work with is OnCue, right? That's what you're giving it macros to be able to do. I'm on the fence about it. Is it, Gene, good tech, meaning it's helping you with saving time and it makes things easier? Or is it looks cool, right? And so there's a big difference between those things. I think a snake looks cool, but I'm not going to touch the damn thing. And that's where I am right now. So I'm on the fence, Gene, of whether or not this is good use of technology, or is it you're really not, it's kind of like Alton Brown. He says, the chef, Alton Brown Good Eats, he says he doesn't have a unitasker. So if that product only does one thing, then he doesn't like it. It needs to be a unitasker, right? And I am not in any way knocking the Stream Deck, because I'm holding one right here. I've got it. I used it all the time for what I do. Because think about it, Gene. If I want to go to my OnCue here, if I want to go to 2 monitors, if I want to go to something like this, I can absolutely do that using the Stream Deck.
Right.
So you have a guest. Let's get it on.
Yes, there's no question. We both know that in training and podcasting and things of that nature, the Stream Deck is tremendous. But now our friend James Smith reached out. He said that he had a point of view on this that he wanted to share. So here he is. We've got him here today. James, welcome to Q Questions.
Hey, Rob and Gene, thanks for having me. Y'all have helped me out so much. I appreciate the opportunity to give back in at least some small way.
Hey man, I've seen you in support a few times, and I know you've always been a pleasure to deal with through the emails and everything else. First and foremost, we definitely appreciate you being a user, because without you, my friend, I don't have a job. So at the end of the day, you're the guy I work for, and so I'm humbled that you're here, and thank you for being here. You use the Stream Deck, and I know, Gene, you can replace me with James has another camera to be able to show too. I want to ask you just right off the bat, how do you use the Stream Deck? What is your use case? What do you do with it?
See it as kind of a jack of all trades. I don't use it just in the court, like you see here. It's pretty easy to wrap your head around that.
Add that deal where I am, Gene. You pull me down.
There's no, because it's just going to move you and him. Y'all are just going to swap.
Okay,
places.
that's fine.
So
I'll tell you what.
It's just going to have to replace.
Then we're going to do that right there, and we're going to do that right there. How about that?
There you go.
Oh, great. Yeah. So this is just like a pretty basic setup with the Stream Deck underneath the monitor. And I like this because it doesn't take up any extra space. And I know y'all know once you're in a courtroom setting, every inch is gold.
Yeah.
So if it takes up no extra footprint, then I'm all for it. But the thing, when the project gets a little bit more out of hand, like here's a hybrid tech setup where we're servicing a Zoom war room and a court.
Just go back to that. Go back to that, James.
Sure. You can see it's loaded up with Stream Deck. So we got.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we got the little one over here.
Now you're running. It looks like you got an A10 Mini.
Yeah, that's an A10 Mini Extreme, right? Okay. I'm running Mix Effect on the iPad in front of it as well. Got the Matrix over there. So this is all so we can.
But this was Zoom related, right? This is not in the courtroom actually set up, right? This is your production studio for something over the internet.
This was a hybrid trial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This is a hybrid trial out in California where we had to pivot because of a COVID outbreak, and so we had to kind of rush back to the office and set this thing up.
Is that your Matrix underneath of the monitor there?
Yeah, over there to the right. Yeah. An MT Vicky, highly recommended. For the price.
Vicky's a sweet piece of equipment. Well, I'll tell you right now, dude, for a production guy sitting at the controls, I always used to say the person in the truck. You know what I mean by that in production. And so that to me is a really sexy setup. But like you said, I don't know that I would use that in trial. You had another one. Go to that next photo.
Yeah, well, here it is in trial of a similar setup where we're servicing. We got witnesses coming in from the other side of the world, and so I'm managing it for everybody, including the court. And you can see I got 2 Stream Decks there as well.
Hey, I've got somebody on a question. You can look at your screen right now, maybe see it. This person just had a comment and said, as a person hoping to get in this field, this setup is terrifying.
Oh,
Talk to me about that. Talk
yeah,
about that.
Don't do this on day one.
Well, why not?
Wait till a little later in the week.
Yeah. So that setup right there will do essentially everything. Now you're using an iPad as a monitor. Sometimes you've got an iPad as a controller. Then I see you've got a USB, just a little USB monitor there in the back. That's your little, let me see everybody on the Zoom.
That's everything coming off of the ATEM. Yeah.
All right. And then you got another picture, or that's it?
Yeah, I think that
was it.
Yeah, I think that was
All
it.
right.
Oh no, sorry, Rob. Here we got one more in trial. It's just it's similar theme, same thing. But this is you can see the cameras and the judge back there. Funny story. This is in L.A. down at on Spring Street.
Or is that Spring
Street? Yeah. It's Spring Street. So the judge would look and see that he wasn't on camera, and he would line himself back up to center himself in the frame. Very cute, very Hollywood.
Imagine that. All right. So you've got these set up. So tell me how you are incorporating the Stream Deck. How are you using the Stream Deck?
Well, so you saw in trial. Well, there's a trend right now where laptops are not shipping with 10 keys anymore. So number pads. So they're opting for larger keyboards that are centered up. So they're getting away with the 10 key. I've even seen 18-inch laptops that don't have a 10 key. I mean, that's how pervasive the trend is. So the Stream Deck can add you your 10 key back, and I know a lot of people that's like a safety blanket having that 10 key over there.
I talked to Kevin Dorita, and he said, I was at lunch with him, and he was telling me about how he had his number pad stuff set up. And so I was like, that's really cool. So you obviously have it programmed in a certain way to be able to show things. And obviously there you go. So these are your buttons that you're programming through the Elgato software, the Stream Deck software, and you can program these to do whatever, and you can give them icons and everything else. Tell me about this.
Right. Yeah. So this is my home screen, and there's a couple of other pages you can get to from it, including I'm probably never going to remember the hotkeys for all of the colors. So with this, I don't have to, in case they come up. And then a bunch of other annotation things that you don't use on the day to day. They're right there. Another one is media controls. I kind of like that because there are some, controlling volume, controlling, muting or pausing or doing some stepwise stuff, scrubbing back and forth through the video.
Kevin Dorita just said that you have pretty icons.
Yeah. Well, here, look, check this out. So I don't know if you can, let me zoom in
see
here.
Everything. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
OnCue Kevin's. Oh, you're giving Kevin.
So there's a shout out to Mr. Dorita. Yeah.
There you go.
I think, Rob, I don't know if you remember, but back during the 3.5 to 4.0 switch, there was a version that came out right after that. And I reached out to you saying that we weren't able to get in our text inputs from the Stream Deck.
Yep.
And I think the devs within a week had a hot fix, and we were back up and running.
Yeah, well, I mean, we knew that there were people relying on it, right? There were people relying on using it, but this is fascinating to me. Go ahead. This is fascinating.
Yeah, Kevin. This one here is a Kevin Dorita original. This icon here.
I'm surprised it doesn't have like a KISS logo on it.
Yeah, that was his version. I had to make mine more presentable.
So you've got everything. Are you doing your basic highlight, zoom, call out, split? Are you doing those through the Stream Deck as well?
So your primary ones like call out, zoom, and highlight, and now and colorize. Those are all done on my mouse. So
mouse.
If they're on my mouse. If I wanted to, I could.
Is that do you have one? Do you have one of the little? What is it? You got the little 12 button gimmick?
Yeah, no. It's got two on the side, but this is a Naga, so the side will pop off, and I can put on the a 10 key on the side if I want. But no, that's now you're exceeding my capabilities.
This is some Star Wars stuff. So okay, So you've got the Stream Deck. Here was my concern, right? Here was my concern. My concern was, all right, I've got Stream Deck here. I've got keyboard. The reason that I went with a couple of years or longer than that, probably 5 years, 6 years ago, I got the foot pedal because I could use the foot pedal for zoom, call out, highlight, right? And my hands never had to leave the keyboard. And so my concern is this: if the lawyer tells me to go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 10, and I've got that marked as P10, I feel like if I don't now take into consideration, I have a 10 key, okay? But let's assume that I didn't. I would have to go I would go X, P10. So I've got 3 moves there that I've got to make. Essentially, my hand never has to leave the keyboard. And so for like call out, highlight, zoom, I feel like to use the Stream Deck, I would have to go up here and move my hand. But like you said, hey, I'm using the mouse. So I've got my 3 macros. I've got my H, my Z, and my Z, H, my C, and my Z on the mouse. So I don't have to leave there. You're already going to be on the mouse anyway. And then everything else, like what are the colors? What are the whatever you've got programmed into the Stream Deck? And those are things that I'm probably going to have to look at what the hell is a hotkey anyway, because I haven't memorized. I think the only person in the world that has memorized the hotkeys for OnCue is Dave Schlafer, Nancy Schlafer's husband. I think he's the only person that knows like every single hotkey and can rattle them off.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing with it. So that's what you're doing with it. So you're okay. So complex tasks, let's just say something outside of call out, zoom, highlight, whatever. Complex tasks are going on the Stream Deck. Easy repetitive tasks are either going on the mouse or you're going to keyboard shortcut it. Is that right?
Yeah, the stuff I'm doing every other page that gets pulled up, that's on the mouse. So my hand never leaves the mouse in that regard. Yeah, but you know, there's some other things too, like some back office stuff that you can do. There are some attorneys still to this day who refuse to use trial exhibit numbers and refer to everything by their baits.
Yeah. And
sometimes you have a voluminous set that has multiple baits fronts. You know, instead of going through and manually entering in all the front end baits alphanumeric info, I can program each button to do all of the different ones so that I can more or less batch that.
MED 123 DZH 123. You don't have to do that. You've got the prefixes programmed in, so you don't have to worry about those. You're just going for a number at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you can speed that up. Speeds that way
I never thought of that. But that's
going through trial transcripts. I make all mine. I base them all TTP and then the page number and then keep them all sequential. I can make TTP is, you know, that's 3 keystrokes right there. I can make the slash TTP all one.
Well, that shuts down my theory of I didn't want to leave the keyboard, because at TTP, for instance, which is too many letters for me, but TTP, for instance, I can do quicker, boom, than I can typing it. Absolutely. So that shut down, Gene, the argument there that I had of, okay, I don't want to get my hand off, but the way he's doing this is very, very interesting to me. Are you tuning with a Stream Deck when you're tuning your designations? Are you tuning with a deck or no?
I don't tune, but I know some techs that do tune with the Stream Deck. Some other things I do that outside of the normal stuff with OnCue is I'll run a stopwatch on my Stream Deck. You know, so sometimes we're tasked with keeping track of our times.
Yeah, I have a. Sorry about my mic. I have one of those little timers there that when I'm at a 10-minute mark, I've got a countdown and I know when I'm going to go off. So
exactly. One less app to alt tab to, right? So
yes.
Yeah. You keep it off of your main screen, keep it off to the side on a screen, very low overhead.
One less thing to alt tab. Now that's true. You don't have to worry about alt tab. You just gave me another thought there. All right. So what else are you doing with it? You got a timer. You can time yourself to keep what you're doing or how long a witness has been up. What else you got going? This is interesting.
Yeah. Well, and then all the other stuff like like Zoom Studio, like managing these lights. They're all, everything is. Yeah, I have multiple stream decks here in front of me here. It just in my home office here as well. So I just, anything that anything that I can automate and use with a stream deck, I try to. I think I'm past the age of retention anymore, where I can remember any more hotkeys. So I don't even try, and now I don't have to. Yeah,
I'm past the age of remembering what we're talking about right now.
yeah. It gets like that. It gets like that. And having a stream deck with all of that stuff laid out, you can go into you can go into a trial and kind of feel you don't have to remember quickly the stuff you haven't used in a while, because it's all right there with a nice little icon. So reducing that friction reduces the stress. And brother, I'm all about reducing stress when we're in that situation.
When we go to this comment where they said, as a person hoping to get into this field, the setup is terrifying. After you've gotten into the field and after you've gone through this a little bit, you've got some experience under your belt, you know how things hook up, you know what cable goes where and how the software is configured. Is the investment to make a setup like that, is the juice worth the squeeze on the
for that hybrid?
Yeah.
I think the paradigm has shifted so that now going forward, we're always going to have the possibility of a witness appearing remotely.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. I think everyone's used to it. Everyone now has the infrastructure.
I think the attorneys realized how much money they could save.
Yeah, absolutely.
It used to be like yesterday. I gave a presentation to the Houston Paralegals Association in Houston about how they can use OnCue for notebooks and exhibit stickering and things like that, and then turn things over to the tech after they're done. They can do that. And I just did it all by Zoom. I did it sitting right here where I am. No issues, didn't have to travel. Thus, they don't have any expenses for me to bring me. And it makes me a little more attractive then, because I don't have to stand up on a stage. I can just be that way. And I think we realized after COVID, hey, man, this stuff works. I mean, I streamed my first Skype witness in the courtroom in 2011. And that lawyer was like, well, we're always going to do that because that just saves us money. So, we started doing it. And then now everybody's doing it, like you said. So how that rig, I don't want you to give me an amount, but the investment to get set up like that, this is a staggering number, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. And made probably more so given our recent hardware difficulties. That one had 3 studio quality cams, 4K cams that ran about 3 a piece.
Right.
You're to the ATEM Extreme. Yeah, the Alienware you saw there was spec'd out with all the sliders pushed to the right.
What about if someone wanted to say, I'm going to get this comment in a minute, Gene. That one caught my eye.
Gotcha.
But somebody just wanting to start basic, right? Let's say that they were just wanting to kind of, dip their toe in the water just a little bit, not quite ready for prime time. I bought this. This is the one that I have, James. I bought the Stream Deck Plus, okay? Because you've got one right there, okay? This was my second Stream Deck. My first one I wore out, and I broke a couple you mess the buttons up, and I might have spilled. So I don't know. Anyway, you understand. And comments, we're gonna get to your comments. Trust me. Just let me get through this stuff. I bought that. If someone buys one of those that's got 8 buttons, 4 knobs, it can help you control your audio volume, all that kind of stuff, and they buy a little 8 Stream Deck button deal, okay? Which you can also get one free on the iPad. The iPad has the free one you can download. But anyway, if somebody gets that and a laptop and they just program it and then they figure out how these buttons are doing things, they're only a couple $100 into the game at that point.
Yeah. And I think that's probably our best use case for a Stream Deck is someone who doesn't go to trial like a paralegal who doesn't go to trial all the time like we do. doesn't have to remember all those hotkeys and can still access them quickly and look competent in the courtroom doing it. I think that's probably the best case. They don't. As a matter of fact, when it was Kevin and I, we were kind of like at the tip of the spear back in 2021 when this thing launched like this, and I had just come over from trial director, so I wasn't comfortable enough to sit there and do everything in OnCue straight from hotkeys. So that the Stream Deck was very helpful in getting me in a flow quickly.
Stream Deck also makes a keyboard now too with 8 buttons. So that may be worth checking out. By the way, guys, if you're looking for Stream Deck stuff, it's Elgato, ELJATO, elgato.com. The mic I use is an Elgato Wave 3. And you have one right there with your spit shield on it. Hey, something got asked here by Mr. White right here. I know who that is right there. That's my man. Do you run into any communication issues with the court's back-end rack equipment with all of the video jumps that are on?
No, that runs on top of all that in my experience.
Okay.
And I've ran that at Spring Street Courthouse, which up until recently was pretty much using caveman equipment.
Well, those courtrooms at Mosque are pretty small too.
Yeah, well, Mosque is even worse. Mosque is super small. I would advise against setting up a hybrid setup in there.
Right. So you've got Mosque, you've got Spring, and you've got Figueroa. Is that right?
Spring Street has those large ceremonial like courtrooms. So I had elbow room there. I had a proper table, and so I could go all out and not be limited. I wouldn't do that in Mosque, but I'm sure someone would.
Brian Stever, my main man right there. I had lunch with him on Monday. It was absolutely fabulous. Listen, I got to tell you, 4 trial techs sitting at a table. It's Todd White, myself, Kevin DeRita, and Brian Stever. And I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Like, it was just, they had me laughing. I thought they were going to kick us out of Papados. The Stream Deck he uses is a 12 button. I love also that you can add in multiple layouts and subscreens. This stuff's interesting to people, and obviously you're incorporating it with OnCue, and I think it's really, really killer. I do want to take this comment real quick. It would be great if there were some training videos about hot seating available on YouTube. Well, I just posted up on the thing. There's trialtechuniversity.com. It's fairly non-existent. Yeah, I mean, I don't think a lot of people are, big on doing that, even just a quick setup video or what to expect when you show up on day one. That's what Trial Tech University is all about, which we're actually fixing to update that. We're actually going to We're actually going to be shooting at the end of the summer, and we're going to update everything because our last one came out during COVID. And so things have upgraded. And so these are things that I definitely want to cover in that. And I want to talk to you guys and maybe have you guys on explaining this stuff, because this is really interesting to me. And I want to thank you for coming on today. I try to keep these shows around 30 minutes. And so that's where we are. I'd love to go into this some more with you, James, at some point and have you back. Maybe one day we'll do kind of a round table. We'll get the other guys that you're working with. There's a kind of a conglomerate of you guys around the country that y'all share information and share things, and you're all getting better because of it. And I realized that when I was at the table, these guys share so much with each other. And, it's a lot of fun to watch. And it's definitely fun to watch it from the outside looking in now, and getting to see you, because I get to live vicariously now through you guys, since I'm not hot seating anymore. And I'm just, doing development stuff for OnCue and the user development side. And so I get to live vicariously through you guys. So I'm seeing this cool stuff, and I'm seeing the way it works, stuff that I said I would never have done. But then with the advent of Zoom and adding these complexities, you guys had to find just an easier way. It's all that work smarter, not harder, right?
Yep, absolutely. That's kind of what it is, reducing friction wherever we can, looking out for the next thing coming down the pike that makes our job easier.
Kathy said, as a 20-year trial paralegal who now does hot seat work full-time, this info is incredibly helpful. It is. And that's why we do it. That's why Q Questions is out there. It's free to you. We've got people like James that are willing to come on and talk to us. Gene has a plethora of questions always loaded up in the bank that we can answer, and all that. So I really, I want to thank you for coming on, James. Thank you for your time and being a part of this and helping us out and helping me to understand. I'm sure we've scratched the surface. There's more we can go on setup. And so what I'm thinking is, depending on what your schedule, let's get together and maybe we'll do like a 3-week series where we'll go over how you do your setup. And each day we'll just take a certain part of your component of your setup, and here's how you set it up, and here's how it works, and things like that. And I think that would be awesome. And certainly everybody can learn from that.
Sure. I'd love to help.
Thank you very much for coming on, man. I appreciate you. That was James Smith. James has been around a long time. He's been with us. Like he said, he switched over to OnCue in 21. Gene, we see him in support sometimes, and always a pleasure to deal with and easy to deal with. I think that stuff's kind of neat, man.
Absolutely. Gary, sorry, I was thinking I had a question from our friend Gary Mize. We're going to get to that next week. Gary, just hold tight. We're going to cover that question next week. But man, James came at us with you saw some things today you weren't expecting, right? There were some aspects of the Stream Deck that you weren't expecting to see. I love that. And hey, if you watch this, if you're listening to this before, during, or after the live show, if there's something here that you have some insight on, or you have a point of view that would be interesting, reach out, send us an email, and we would love to talk to you, and perhaps we can have you on to present something, because that's what we're here to do. We're just here we're all helping each other here, right?
Well, and I always thought this stuff, I always said, oh, look at old Tech over there with DEF CON Central, or they're trying to run the Starship Enterprise. And I always said, I want to do more with less. But in actuality, and what they're dealing with, I didn't have to deal with all the new crap that these people have thrown at them. So I'm learning what they're doing, because they've evolved. They're 3 years further evolved than me, somebody who's not been in the courtroom. So I'm having the only way I'm going to evolve is through these guys, and listening to what they're telling me, and looking at what they're doing, and seeing what they're doing. Right? Because I'm not going to go do it. But how much of it can I incorporate into what I'm doing here? Because I do still train people. And I saw a guy one time down in New Orleans, BJ Travis, and BJ Travis had like a big, like you were in a TV studio with the little T-bar gimmick and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And I sat over there and I laughed. But now there would have been a use for that, in the way you got these hybrid trials that these people do. So very interesting. Listen, guys, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for being on Q Questions. For those of you who came late, go to our community. It's community.onqtech.com. That's where we can have these discussions and keep them going. It's like the old Yahoo message board we had back in the day. Terry Thornton and I set up the old Legal Video and Technology and Trial Technology Yahoo group back in like 2001. And that thing, man, if I could go back and find an archive of that, I would pay handsomely to have an archive, because that was back when Sanction was arguing with Trial Director, and they would get into these flame wars, and everybody else would get involved. And we were all still learning how to encode properly to MPEG-1, and we were using OptiBase cards and Digital Rapids boards and MPEG Gator and all these things back then. And there were messages and messages and messages about it. And it's how we all learned how to be hot seaters, because there was no teaching, no training available for that. But with that said, Gene, take us out of here. Thank you all very much.
All right. Once again, thank you to our friend James Smith for joining us and for all the great information you shared. Thank you for watching, and be sure to join us each and every Wednesday right here at noon Central for another episode of Q Questions.